You know, if it's Thursday, it's all about
a story a day.
Oh, yeah, it's one of those ones. This could be a tear-jerker.
Yes, sir.
Our guest today went through hell and back, tried to have babies like many of you women try to do, and you fail one after another after another. You know people who have so many miscarriages, right?
Yes. So she's got a book out called Beauty for Ashes, A Faith-Filled Journey to Motherhood.
And she never gave up. In fact, we'll save this for a little while because it has a happy ending. Let's first go to how it all began. Good to see you and congratulations on all your success.
Thank you.
So you're a talk show host as well?
Yes.
Where?
On my channels.
Oh,
okay.
Yes.
That's YouTube, TikTok.
Yes. So my name is Shinal. I was brought up in Embu by my lovely parents, and I have 5 siblings with me, and yes, now married to one, Tim Corby. Makamo is his name, and God has graciously blessed us with 3 miracle children. I call them miracle children because we're going to be sharing later of the journey. More to that, I am into mentorship for young youth because I believe in bringing them up and them believing in what God has called them to do early enough and knowing it early enough. And apart from that, I also encourage women because when I shared my story, I came to realize there's so many women who are trusting God for children, and some of them, they have come even to the end of themselves and they're wondering, is it really possible? So that is what mainly I do. Yes.
So, so growing up, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Embu, a place called Gatondo. My mom was a primary school teacher. My dad was doing business. So that is where I grew up. I went to Gatondo Primary. I went to Don Bosco Girls High School in Embu. And then later I went to Itabua. Yes. Then later I came to Nairobi where I went into college.
And then how did you become a flight attendant?
So when I finished, I did mass communication, East Africa School of Media. Yeah, so after that, I couldn't get a job. But then I met a lady who told me, why don't you try? I have a sister of mine whose daughter is in Dubai. Why don't you try and see whether you can get a job there? I was like, if mass communication isn't working, why don't I try something else? And I knew if my dad would know I am in Nairobi without a job, I would not sleep in that Nairobi. He would say, come back to the village,
Straight to Embu.
Yeah, come to Embu, And yeah, so I went and met that lady, and she connected me. So first of all, I started out in the hotel industry. Yes, I started out as a waitress in the hotel industry where I worked for 2 years.
Was it easy getting to Dubai? Getting the papers and all that? Was it difficult? Was it easy?
Actually, what happened, that lady was getting a lot of hotels and Etihad and Qatar and Emirates, coming to do interviews here. So it wasn't as hard that time. So that is the time now I got that interested. But when I went, I hadn't studied anything to do with the hotel. And then I was so slender. Right now I've added weight.
If you were
slender, you would have added weight.
Yeah.
You'd have drowned in these floods of yesterday.
Yeah, so she was telling me, no, even if they want slender people, you're too slender. Can you go and eat, But funny enough, I think she was looking for attitude. So somehow we clicked and she loved me. So she called me after a while and told me there's a company that was coming. It was called Rocco Forte Hotel, group of hotels. So they were coming to recruit. And that is how I went into it. During that time, I was doing promotions for Unilever, promoting brands in the supermarkets. That's what I was doing. And now when I went for that interview, out of 40 people who got past the interview, only 6 of us got the visa. And I was among them. So that's how I went.
Nice.
So you went to Qatar?
Abu Dhabi.
Abu Dhabi.
Yes.
To work in a hotel?
Yes, it was called Rocco Forte Hotel. And I worked for that hotel for 2 years. So after that, I met a lot of cabin crews who were in the church. It was called KRCI, King's Revival Church in Abu Dhabi.
Kenyans,
a lot of them. So I met them there, and they were like, why don't you try to apply? So I had applied many times. Of course, you apply, you go for interviews, and you're disqualified. But I'm the kind of a person, I fall, I rise up again. I keep trying, because they will block you for only 3 months online. So I go, I apply, they block you for 3 months. You can't apply during that period. After 3 months expire, I try again, So yeah, and it is a lot of work. When you apply online, you have to sit like for 3 hours applying, filling those questionnaires, writing the essays and all that.
And they didn't reject you because you're reapplying?
No, because they do the open. They used to do that time. They used to do the opening. I think after every 3 months, you could be allowed to apply again. And then I was trying for different. I'll try for Etihad. I'll try for Emirates. I'll try for Qatar, because most of them they used to recruit every now and then. Yeah. So that is how I ended up getting an admission with Etihad Airways. Yes, but then it's a very long story, but I decided to come back home.
We like long stories, but you can summarize. What happened at Etihad?
So when I got the admission for Etihad, that's why I'm saying it's a very long story.
And that's why I said summarize.
2 sentences.
In 2 sentences.
Yes.
I decided I didn't want, not that I decided, just before I could start the training, they wrote an email to me and they said one of my documents is missing. And I was so devastated. I had already resigned in my other job. My contract now already is gone, because it was like 2 years I had been there. So now I had I think a week to. And so I am supposed to join, and now they say one of the documents I had done, you have to go to Abu Dhabi police to get the clearance. I had done all that documentation. And so I just get that, and they say one of the documents is missing. And
Why
I couldn't
you get this one
join.
document? What is this document?
For me, I think it wasn't just time. Those things that you can't explain. Because, they could have told me it's this document, and they couldn't. They didn't.
Oh, they didn't tell you what document is missing?
No. I had submitted all the documents. There were like 6 of them. There was the police clearance, the place where you're working, everything. So I couldn't. So yeah, that's how it ended up. But during that time, of course God had spoken to me, and I knew what God had called me to. And during that time, we had purpose to get married. So
you had met him already?
Yes, I had met my husband.
How did you skip that part?
Yeah, how? During the recruitment
was he a customer at Rockport?
No. He's an engineer by profession. So he was doing something totally different from what I was doing. But we were friends. So during that time, we had already come back to Kenya, done the introduction, visited our parents, paid the dowry. So it was in that process. So I think at that I decided just to come back home and do what I love. That is mentorship for young people.
So you left Zeb back in Abu Dhabi?
Yes. He used to come like after 3-4 months, and then he would go back then. But in 2015, almost the end of it, he came back fully as
good.
well. Yes.
He quit an engineering job to come back. Did he have an engineering job here? Or
No.
he just wanted to be a Shinal.
All right,
He's also a pastor, so he wanted to come back also and do a few things.
And you're very God-fearing, both of you.
Yes.
Was you part of that KG, whatever church thing?
No. It was going to another church as well in Abu Dhabi. Yes, but right now he's serving as a pastor. Yes.
So when did you first have your first miscarriage?
So in 2014, that's when I got pregnant, because we got married in 2013, December. So in 2014, I got pregnant, and I carried the pregnancy until 32 weeks. I was going to the hospital, and then I just go to the hospital one morning, and the doctor puts I don't know, it's called the Doppler or something, and he can't find the heartbeat. And he's like, Wanja, when last did you hear the heartbeat? I was like, I think yesterday morning I heard the heartbeat. Have you heard the heartbeat? I'm like, I haven't today. And then I start to see him, like his countenance is changing, and I'm like, Connie, what's the problem? It's my first time being pregnant, having a baby, so I don't know so much. And then after that, he tells me, you need to go for scan, you need to do this test. I'm like, why are you worried? See, maybe the baby is asleep. You know me, I'm thinking there's no cause of alarm. Then they do all these tests, and they are trying to find their heartbeat, and they can't. And that time my husband is not in the country, so I just gone for my clinic checkup. And they tell me, we are sorry, we lost the baby. I'm like, lost where? How? We can't. It's 32 weeks, And when the doctors tell you that 2 is like, it's either 32 or 34, because they're 2 weeks, yeah?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so I'm like, how do we lose the baby and all that? I had never had that babies die in the womb, I had never. So they said, who did you come with? I said, I'm alone. They said, where is your husband? I said, he's out of the country. They said, I want to speak to your husband. I give him the number. He calls my husband and say, Mr. Tim, we are sorry, but the baby died in the womb. My husband say, what are you saying? He can't. Also him, he's away, he's shocked. Yeah. So he calls me. He tells the doctor, give her the phone. So he tells me, do this, go home. The baby is okay. And that's what I did. I think he was also in shock, as I was. They said, no, we can't release you. We have to take you to the ward right now, and you need to be induced to have the baby. I said, no. So they brought a paper for me. They say, you need to sign this, that you have refused our advice. I said, please, quickly, let me sign. I signed, and I went and drove off.
You walked out?
Yes, and I drove myself back home. So, but when I was going home, I passed by a church where I got born again. And I said, there is nothing impossible with God. Can I get here and pray? So I got there. There was no one in that church, but it was opened. I think I could hear it was either a carpenter or someone was up knocking.
It's like a Tuesday, Wednesday when you get there.
Yeah. So it was Tuesday. So I went and I prayed.
I was the carpenter.
So I went and I just prayed, but I couldn't. I think at that it hit me. Like, wait, what did the doctor say? I prayed and then I went home. When I went home, I just called my husband and he said, please rest, and then we're going to talk later. So I just slept. I think I cried myself to sleep. I think when I got home, it hit me now. So by the way, what did the doctor say? The baby is no more. So I think it hit me and I realized, I slept until I think 5 or 6 in the evening. So when I wake up, I called my sister, I called my friend, Gloria Moriro. She was the one who was my best mate during my wedding. So I called them, and my husband had actually communicated to them. So they came home, they picked me, and we wanted to go to a hospital. And we called someone else, they say, please can you go to another hospital and seek for a second opinion? And that is what... when we went to the other hospital, it was the same thing, the same story. So they had to induce me. And I gave birth to the baby. He was, I held him. He was so cute. I couldn't believe, he was like normal. Like I was, the way the baby is sleeping. They took the kg, was like 1.8. He was fine. So actually when they were taking me, I said, can I go with him? Because I was like he's looking so okay. You can't even tell that he's lifeless.
You're already attached to him.
Yes, and I had even carried clothes to put on him, but I think I couldn't have strength to do it at that moment. Yes.
And your husband, all this time, are you talking to him? Are you communicating, or?
Yes, we are communicating. We are actually that time now. He had already taken a flight. Yeah, he was trying to, because he was in another. He was in Afghan. They were doing a project with the U.S. government at that time, so they had to see how he's going to get a flight and come
out.
Yes.
And let me ask you. So when the baby remains, the hospital keeps them, or you come back to pick?
So they ask you. So I think for us, being my husband is away, now I am here with my family. We didn't want really that trauma of start to have barrier arrangements for the baby. So we surrendered to the hospital. Yes, we are like, yes. We talked with my husband and we agreed. We surrendered the baby to the hospital. Yes.
So you go back home. Your husband is back. What are you doing? Are you depressed? Are you crying? What's going through your mind?
So when I went back home, I found my friends, they were very supportive in the church. So they had gone to our house. We had gotten a big house. We are ready for the baby and all that. I had shopped everything for the baby. So they had gone home because now they were staying in my house by the time I was in hospital for those like 3 days. They hid everything for the baby in that house. I think they didn't want me to come back to the shock because I had a room for him, all the clothes, everything. They hid them. Where are the baby clothes? I can't find them. Where did you take them? But they were very supportive. So my husband came back. Of course, I was going through a very tough moment. I was like, why did it happen? Am I such a careless mother? Was I not a good person? Why did God allow it to happen? And that time, you're meeting people and they're asking you, mgeni alikuja? People, they don't know. You can't go tell everyone that you lost a baby, But the church was very supportive. But one couple came. They were from our church. They had 4 children. But I had never known that they lost their child also through stillbirth. I think that was the game changer. When they came to visit, they shared their story with us. And they're like, oh, us, we also went through that. I'm like, when? Why have you never shared? They're like, you don't always talk about this thing, but we also went through this, and later this is what God has done. So I really got the idea of bouncing back. That no matter what you go through, you can bounce back. That you can have beauty for ashes. And then something happened. One Sunday, it was like after 2 weeks I lost the baby. There was a pastor preaching on TV, and he said there's a lady at home right now. He was just preaching on TV. It was live service on TV. My husband had gone to church. I had told him, don't just stay here. I feel a bit okay, a bit strong. Then he said, the Lord is telling me to tell you that He's going to give you a baby beside what you have lost. And it hit me so hard that God really cared for me. Even in these moments that I was going through, with that difficulty and all that. Yes, and that's how I just began to pick myself back, to pick the pieces back. After, I think, 2-3 weeks, my husband went back abroad and just to work, and my family was there. My sisters would come to my house. They would call me because now we don't have a baby. I don't have anyone to stay with. Yeah, my friends will come. I started doing a lot of schools. I'd go to a lot of schools with Grolia. I have gone to, I think, almost every part. People never even knew, I had just lost a baby. I just went into service, going to speak to young people, encouraging them, going to do missions. So I just got into that totally. I got pregnant again, and then after a few, 3 months, I was just seated, and I'm like, there's something flowing out of me. And I started, and I'm all blood. And I go to the hospital. That time the doctors are very sensitive because of the history. And they check and they tell me, the baby is out. I'm like, out from where? Why? So they had to, check, is everything okay? Then they released me to go home. So I think that is when now my husband, after that, he came back fully into the country. And then after a while, I also got pregnant again. And this time,
You didn't tell us the verse.
I will tell you before you finish. I got pregnant again. Yes.
What?
And it never hit me. You're just thinking maybe it's something, because the doctors are doing everything. I had a very good gyna. And so this time I changed the gyna. I got a better one. I say, do you know a better one? Someone say, yeah, go to this, whatever, Nairobi, something, you'll find another doctor there. So I go there. So I never had a problem with me conceiving at first. So I just conceive. And when I went there, the doctor would be like, Wanja, I'm going to help you. I'm going to do everything. I conceive again. But this time I get to 8 weeks. And by 8 weeks, the baby at least should have a heartbeat. But the heartbeat wasn't developing. So they asked me, stay a little bit, maybe 2 or 3 weeks, we see. And nothing was. So I had to do a DNC procedure. where they just go and wash you out.
Inside.
Yeah, they have to.
Is it painful?
Without anesthesia, it's very painful. I once did it without anesthesia. I wanted to die the next moment.
Please spare us there.
Yeah. So after that, I went home, and I think it started hitting me. So this thing about children.
This is number 3 now.
Yeah. I'm like, will I ever get children? Is this what people go through? And you know, nowadays, because of social media, people are more expressive. They share their experiences. Those 2015, 2016, people are not that. You could just find wazungu ameandika tu on Google. So I would ask the doctor, so what do you do? And then he said me, Wanja, we try, and then I will put you on better medication, you know. So after a while, I get pregnant again. And the same thing repeats itself. So this time at 10 weeks, the heartbeat is there, but at 10 weeks, again, the heartbeat stops and the baby stops growing. So they keep it until I was like, I think 12, 13 weeks. Nothing. I had to go through a DNC. And this time we have spent money. We don't even have money. So I didn't even have money for anesthesia. And you know, when it doesn't come out on itself, you have to go again and be washed. And I had to be washed without anesthesia. It was the most traumatizing thing. It was so traumatizing. But then I went home. Now it's really sinking in me. I'm like, oh my goodness.
And what's your husband saying all this time?
Oh, my husband is telling me we are going to get children. And he's so positive, and until I'm like, are you okay? Or you're encouraging me, you don't want, to frustrate your wife. He was so positive. And I think that is what sometimes lacks, because when I talk to many of the women, they say, my husband has agreed with the man that they need to get another wife, or my husband is pestering me, or my husband is saying this, because if you do not have the support of your husband, then the conversation becomes very different. But for me, my husband was really there for me. He was like, why are you worried? Where do children come from? Doctors don't give children. It is God who gives children. We are going to get children. And I was like, oh my God, I don't want to be a frustration to this guy. He so much believes that I don't want to let him down. So I would get pregnant. So the last time I got pregnant, I remember I went to this hospital. And the doctor says, you know what? I think you got to believe that you can't have children. And every time you conceive, you will miscarriage. All these reports shows that. So can you stop trying? I think that day it hit me. And I said, by the way, what have I been doing? So then my husband said, now we were walking out. My husband said, what are you contemplating? Why are you listening to him? What does the word say? What does God say? Is that children are heritage. How many people, they don't use medication? How many street children, they get children? So what are you thinking about? So after that, it ended. But one time, I am reading a book. It's called Mountain Moving Faith by one of the generals God used. It was called Kenneth E. Hagin. And I read a verse that says, Mark 11:22-24, have faith in God. Whoever shall say to this mountain, be removed and cast on the sea, and not doubt in his heart, but believes what he says shall be done, it shall be done to him. I said this verse has been existing here. Then now he had explained you can get the verses from the Bible and believe for God, in God for whatever you want. So that's what I did. I took a notebook and I took a pen. I went to Google. I Googled every verse that talks about children. And I wrote them down, and I said how I wanted God to give me children. There was a bus that was always coming to pick our neighbor's kid. And I saw that bus. It was very early in the morning. I started saying, that bus that comes to pick my neighbor's children is going to come and pick my own children going to school. So my faith was risen in God. I wrote a prayer to God. I posted it once on social media. I said, I believe in you, God, that you can give me children. There is nothing impossible. It doesn't matter how the reports doctors have said. They've said it's impossible. But how did I conceive the first one to 32 weeks? So I believed in God. Then after a few months, now by this time I had even stopped conceiving now. After a few months, I got pregnant. And by 32 weeks, the baby was still very okay. And the doctors say because that is at 30, no, 28 weeks. The doctor said, now that we are going to 32, and that is where you lost the other one, we need to do an injection. I'm just forgetting the name, to enlarge to develop the lungs.
But like a steroid.
Yeah, so that even if the baby is removed before time, they can survive. So I agreed to it. Then I went on Facebook and I found a lady had written to me. She asked, Shinal, are you pregnant? I said, why? Because, I had hidden my pregnancy. I didn't want people to know. And then she said, she was in Abu Dhabi. She used to be my friend. She was a cabin crew for Etihad. She said, when I was praying in the morning, I saw a picture of you pregnant. And I heard a voice of God tell me to tell you, don't be worried. You will not lose that baby. That baby will be born at 40 weeks. I said, you heard that this morning? And that time the doctors had already written for me that I think it's a steroid. So I went to hospital, they injected me, and they told me I need to go on a weekly basis to check the baby. Do you know, every time I went, the doctors would say, the baby is so fine, we can't remove. Let's wait another week. I would go until 40 weeks when I went, and the doctor checked me, and she said, did you carry the baby clothes? I said, why? He said, you're 3 centimeters dilated, so I can't let you go home. You have to stay in hospital.
Jesus.
Oh, miracle.
Listen.
Hallelujah.
That was on 29th May. 30th in the morning.
Which year? 17?
2018.
18.
30th in the morning, 30th May. I gave birth to a firstborn. She's called Charissa. It means the grace of God.
Charissa.
Yeah, Charissa.
This attitude of yours.
Yes.
This amazing attitude. Where do you get it from? Because there are women listening to you right now.
Yes.
Who have gone through what you have gone through. Probably
Yes.
worse. And a lot of them have given up in life.
Yes.
What do you tell them? Because you seem to be smiling through it all, despite what you went through.
Yeah.
Time after time.
Yeah.
What do you tell them?
Anyone who has done something tangible, they never had it smooth all the time, but they had this thing in them that they would bounce back to it. When you have tried everything, the doctors have done everything, you have tried IVF. I have women who I have been in touch with, and they tell you, I have tried IVF, I have tried this, it failed. Then after a short while, they write to you and say, do you know I conceived just naturally? When they had tried everything and it
Did you
had
try
failed.
IVF?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I had no
It's all
try.
natural.
Yes, I got 3 of them. Actually, 2018 we got Charissa. 2020 we got Haniel. He's a baby boy.
What does that mean?
The Prince of Israel. After that, in 2022, January, we got Kaliana.
Kaliana.
Yeah, Kaliana Shaddai. It's the God of more than enough.
No problems in between those 6 years.
No. Now, after I got Charissa, I only had a miscarriage of twins here in between. Yes. We had a miscarriage of twins at 10 weeks. They just stopped developing. But after that, I never had it again.
Na pastor nasemaje?
Pastor is fine. Yes, he's serving the Lord. Yes, we are happy. We're excited. Yeah, we've seen the faithfulness of God.
Do you have a church you started or?
Yes, we serve at a church. We have a church called New Hope Outreach Ministries.
Where is that?
Utawala.
Oh,
Utawala.
Utawala.
Yes.
And it's run by him and you or him or?
Yes, it's him and myself. We run the same. But yes, as much as I'm supporting, I'm also doing other things. Yes.
Like? Or
Events.
talk show and
Yes, I do mentorship. Like this Saturday, I'll be having a mentorship program for the young people, because
Where?
I also realized New Hope, opposite Strathmore University. There's also another church, our mother branch church. It's called New Hope Outreach Ministries, opposite Strathmore University.
if people want to get in touch with you, how do they do that?
My social media, Facebook, Shinal Wanja. Or for those who want to get the book, I have a book called Beauty for Ashes. It actually entails the whole story. I went through and how God carried us and helped us through. So if you want to get that book, you can call us through 0700 148 218 0700 148-218. Shinal Wanja on social media.
And Shinal is Shinel.
Yes.
Shinal Wanja.
Yes.
Shinal Wanja Makamu.
Yes.
What a story. What a story.